Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fashion Student Diaries. This week I'm really excited to introduce you to Olly Simpson, a third year Fashion Textiles and Print student at London College of Fashion, who has also dabbled in some photography and his biggest achievement yet, creating his own clothing brand PBYOJS, which has been worn by the likes of American rapper Quavo. So hi Olly, thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries, thank you for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to jump straight in. So I'm so interested to know, what have you been doing this week within the world of fashion? What's been your main priority right now?
Basically this week what I've been up to is basically trying to find manufacturers within the UK who supply blank garments which are of like a high enough quality to print on. Basically because of COVID and stuff, a lot of like small manufacturers have closed down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just trying to find people who are still operating in the UK who are making their own clothes and stuff for me that I can print on and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So, and what else have you been doing, like with uni work and everything like that?
So I've had this week I had the university, my campus opened last Thursday, and I had my second lesson, let's say, back today, which was nice to actually be able to go back into university and use a studio because I haven't been able to do it for the last few months, but it's been nice to go back in and use all the facilities and stuff.
Yeah. So before we get into sort of the exciting stuff about your brand, talk to me about what being a fashion student at LCF is like for you.
Being a fashion student at LCF is kind of like, speaking from a male perspective, it's different, because it's a very, fashion is a very feminized kind of subject to be studying at university, but being a fashion student is great. I mean, it's amazing, the people you meet and like the things you get up to at university is just so much fun, and like you have so many opportunities to like try new things and stuff. It's just it's great. I can't complain at all about going to university. It's a lot of fun.
And what's your course like? So what do you sort of do?
I study fashion textile print design, which basically what my degree entails is we basically design anything that gets printed onto fabric, any design details, anything. So if you're wearing if you're wearing something right now and it's got a pattern on it or anything, that will be designed by someone who's done a degree like mine.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to learn all of the different aspects of, like, there's so many different ways that people actually take a design and put it onto fabric. It's quite crazy, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's all I can say about it. It's a lot of fun.
And so what do you kind of do on like a day-to-day basis with your course?
So normally so my week is normally split at the moment, but before COVID, we'd have 2 days a week where we'd be in the studio where we'd be printing samples onto fabric ourselves, which is great because you can actually take a design that you've come up with, you've drawn, or say you've made something on Photoshop, whatever, and then take it from this drawing and then actually print it onto a piece of fabric which you can hold, which is just something that's satisfying. I'm not sure if that's just me, but
that's
being able to take something from your head or your piece of paper and then print it onto a bit of fabric which you can then make into something is a really cool, interesting thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose I do journalism, so for me, that's like making a magazine and holding it in my hands.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Thing.
It's like publicizing something.
Yeah,
it's nice to be able to take the work that you've come up with and then make it into a physical object.
For sure. And so, why did you choose this course? Like, what were you doing before you went to uni? Were you at like sixth form? What did you do?
Yeah, so basically I was never ever in a million years, I never thought I would be going to do fashion. I never wanted, and in my mind it never clicked to me to do anything related to fashion until, so basically I went to college, and my college offered a free art foundation year. I stayed on to do this art foundation, and I always wanted to be a graphic designer. I was always big into Photoshop and like basically just doing like digital designs.
Yeah.
But then in my art foundation, I was basically, all of my designs I was doing throughout the foundation year, I was taking the designs and just putting them onto like hoodies or t-shirts and stuff that I want, because I wanted to wear this stuff because I couldn't buy it, And I was like, I saw the designs, I was like, oh, I want to wear this, And then one of my teachers at foundation was like, oh, why don't you apply for this fashion course in London? Because that's basically what you're doing now. And I was like, sure, whatever. I applied on a wing. Like I mean, it was one of my like 5 choices of courses, and all the others were graphic design.
Yeah.
And I got accepted to it. And I said to myself, if I get accepted for this course, then I'll do it anyway, regardless. Even if I get accepted to any of the other ones, I'll just do this one because it's something different. It's something new.
Yeah.
And I did. And then I went, and then I was just like, this, I haven't looked back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad I actually ended up doing it.
Yeah. I suppose it must have been quite scary as well to like go from something you sort of know doing to something completely new and just not knowing. I mean, did you know much about LCF?
I knew nothing. I mean, I kind of knew a bit about it because a lot of my friends who were doing foundation year with me, they were also applying to LCF.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, all I knew was it was this really prestigious fashion university in London, and like no one gets accepted to it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like really daunting. But from my experience from being there, it hasn't been like that daunting, you know. I mean, it seems scary when you're applying, but once you get there, it's actually a super friendly environment.
Yeah. And so with your course then, do you think it's like helped you get to where you are today?
100%. I mean, like even just up until this year, since I started my own business, I mean, all of the skills I have for my business, I've learned from university. I've never done screen printing or anything before.
Mm-hmm.
But even if I had never started my business, the chance to be in like a big city and like meeting so many new people and making so many new contacts and stuff is something you could have only ever achieved from going to university. Mm-hmm. And also the stuff I've learned from being there is something that I've never would have in a million years been able to learn from anywhere else, kind of thing. It's what is very, I feel very lucky to have been able to have this knowledge passed on to me and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And so how do you feel, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it a bit, but how do you feel like being a male within the fashion industry, but also within like what you're doing now and your business and stuff? Like, do you find it hard? Is it easy? What is it like being a male within the fashion industry?
I don't know. I find it kind of, I think I would say I found it probably easier than most girls. Mm-hmm. because there's not that many males, like men doing fashion in, mm-hmm. especially, I mean, there are a lot of LCF, but it's not specifically on my course. I mean, I'm the only guy on my course, and it's been that way since first year. And I mean, my class is quite small. There's only 30 people, but I don't know. I feel like you're kind of like I'm not sure what it is, but you kind of just like, I don't know, they want to keep you there kind of thing. And you kind of get a bit more lenience than if most girls do. Yeah. Which is a shit thing. But I don't know. I think I found it, I mean, personally, I've not found it too difficult, my experience at LCF. Yeah. But, yeah.
I suppose, what would you say then for guys who want to go on to study fashion at uni? Because I feel like, especially there's obviously unis that do like just a fashion course within a big campus uni like Nottingham and stuff like that, and I feel like that's a bit more sort of accepted. But with like London College of Fashion and places that are so just fashion related, I feel like men kind of get a bit scared going into it. So what would you kind of suggest?
Yeah. I was so nervous. I mean, even like I think I've kind of grown to it now. I've been just used to it, but in like first year I was so nervous, like especially when I showed up on my first day. And I don't know, I got there and it was like textiles, it was like embroidery, knitwear and print all together, and I think there was only two or three boys out of about 100 people. Yeah. And then I think the other 2 boys had probably dropped out from the other courses. But yeah, it was just really like, I don't know, I was kind of like, oh my God, like, have I done the wrong course and stuff? But I like, the thing is though, you just kind of got to make it what it is, you know? I mean, so many people would be scared off by that because like a lot of, I mean, for myself, I was never that sociable in like the first year. So I was kind of doing my own thing anyway, and I knew while I was in London it was to get a degree. But it was nowhere near as horrible as I thought it was going to be. It was definitely a lot easier, and everyone was so friendly as well, and you don't want to be worried. And that's how I put it.
Yeah, so you just go for it, Tony, guys.
Yeah, just go for it, honestly. And London is the best place to do fashion, 100%.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. So on to then the really exciting part that I know everyone's been dying to hear about. So So your brand PBY OJS. So how did you come up with the inspiration for this brand then? Like, how did it all begin?
So basically the brand began March 2020. So basically, but when I moved to London, I didn't really know anyone in London. I was a bit of like, I was from a really small kind of part of the UK, and I came to London like in this massive city, and I just found it difficult to like meet new people. So then when I moved here, I bought a camera, and I would just go to these like underground kind of like parties or events or like music performances. And just like every time I was interested in fashion, that like when I moved here, because obviously I'd sign up to go to a fashion uni.
Of course.
I'd go on a night out and just basically I'd come up to people who were just, in my head, I was like, oh, their outfit's really cool. I want to get a picture of it. I just asked them, oh, can I take a picture? So I met loads of people through going to these events. But then I kind of like built this archive of like hundreds of photos of random people in London on these nights out. And now I didn't realize until that last year that I had all these like crazy like photos and stuff. And like another main reason for me to start the brand was I literally just, as soon as COVID happened, I lost all of my like photography work, because by second year that was kind of my only job, going to events and stuff, taking photos. And then COVID came, all music events cancelled, everything. So I was like, oh my god, I need to pay my rent. So I'd already made like some designs from my photographs for university, and my flatmate was like, why don't you just print some like old clothes with them and just try and sell them on Depop? And then that's what I did. I just like in my old flat in London, I just printed them at the end of my bed. I bought like a fold out table from Argos for like £10, and then printed some clothes and then put them on Depop and sold them. And like I sold like 10 things in the first week, and I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy, like I can actually make money from this.
That's
and
so
just kind
cool.
of like slowly grew it from there.
And so you say like, I mean, back to like the photography, so that was like kind of the start of it then. Or like, did you get paid?
Yeah. So I mean, like when I started university, I would just go as a way to meet people. And like that's the thing, when you're on a night out and you're drunk, and someone comes up to you, it's like, oh, can I take a picture of you and your friends? Like, I think that's cool. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's sick. Like, yeah, go for it, take the picture. And then they're like, oh, send me it tomorrow. Put Instagram in. And like that's how in the first year I met so many people who are like really good friends with me now through just going to these parties. And you kind of see like the same kind of crowd after you go to a few. But that's going back to like moving to London and stuff. Like, you would not have that kind of opportunity or experience if you didn't come to like a city like London. Like you would never be able to meet so many people unless you like, had this opportunity. But no, that helped me a lot. And then it was like in second year, it was kind of like my job, because the people who were hosting these parties would see me, or these like events would see me there, and they'd be like, oh, can you come back, and like we'll pay you to do it.
Okay.
That was like my side income.
Okay, that's cool. So then if you're like, you kind of just did that by getting yourself out there, like it wasn't even applying for a job kind of thing.
No, it was kind of just like going there and doing it for free, and then eventually people get to know. It's literally just putting yourself out there, and that's like the one thing you just have to do. It's just like, everyone's a stranger in London. That's the thing. At the end of the day, like, there's no harm in putting yourself out there, and all that can come from it is just good things, in my opinion. Like, such a big city, there's so many people, everyone doesn't know each other. Like loads of people probably thought, who's this weirdo on the dance floor asking me to take pictures with people?
He's like, what are you going to do with these pictures?
It's like, well, that's the thing. But also it's like, I never intended of ever doing anything with them. Like I just had these, I've literally got like thousands of photographs from 2018, 2019 from these events and stuff, which are just like a massive archive of just pictures. But it's like, to me, I did it because I wanted to do it because I was documenting something which was new to me. And it was interesting. Like, I'm from a very small part of the UK, and seeing like all of these crazy outfits and all of these different types of people all just like at the same party enjoying themselves together was like really cool to me. But
and I mean, it turned into inspiration for your brand, so it was definitely worthwhile.
Exactly.
And so what does the brand mean to you? Like, what is it about?
So So basically the brand is like all of the designs are created from my photographs, and basically the meaning like with the images was basically I was kind of thinking to myself like I have all these photos which I think are like I love them because I took them myself. I mean that's just me being modest or whatever, but basically the whole meaning behind the brand was just like giving these photographs like a second life. Like for me, I always wanted to be able to take a photograph and be able to then turn it into something I could wear or something which it could have a second life. Because when you take photographs on a night out, you just get left behind, you know, like you move on, they get forgotten about. But if you turn it into something which you could wear, every time you wear that piece of clothing, you're reminded of that night out or something like that.
Yeah.
To me, it means it's something that's remembered. Like it's something of like a memory to me.
Yeah, that's so cool. And obviously, I mean, Quavo wearing your brand was pretty huge, a pretty career defining moment. Talk to me about that.
So basically what happened with the Quavo thing, so his stylist, she basically reached out to me and asked for some clothes for a photo shoot. And bear in mind, like they're based in LA. I'm living in London, and she was like, I need them for 2 days time.
God.
And I was like, you can't ship from the UK to the US in 2 days. Even if you FedEx it, it still takes at least 3 days. But I was like, no, I'm going to send it anyway. Maybe a miracle. Obviously it arrived late, and she was like, oh, it arrived late. Do you want me to return it? And I was like, no, just like if he wants the stuff, then gift it to him. He can keep it. And then she must have just given it to him. And then about a month after that encounter, he ended up wearing it and was pictured on the beach with Travis Scott and Diddy and Beats and everyone. And then after that, I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. In my head, it was like, by this time, I hadn't even moved into my own studio. So I was printing these jeans at the end of my bed. In my tiny South London flat. So I was like, this rapper who's like a multi-million-dollar whatever, he's absolutely rich as fuck. And he was wearing a pair of jeans that was printed at the end of my bed. It was just like, in my head, I was like, that's crazy to me. It was just like unbelievable.
I mean, that is pretty mental.
Yeah, it's pretty mental. But it's like after that, then he like reached out to me because his stylist must have told him, and he was like, oh, like I love your stuff and like keep sending me whatever.
That's so sick.
We'll stay in contact like today.
That's so sick. So how did she reach out to you? Like what? How did she reach out to you? Like how did you even get so big that she kind of found you? Like how did you put yourself out there?
That's the thing as well. Like I wasn't very big at the time. I think it must have just been luck. I mean, I'm gonna have a look at the first message she sent me now on my phone. But she's loved her stylist. It's called Zoe Costello. But she reached out to me directly. She was like, hey, how are you? Are you able to send some pieces for Quavo for a shoot in 2 days? And like at the time, it was like I never had any like publicity or whatsoever. I never had anyone famous, and like, I feel like I kind of like jumped the ship from like going from like someone making jeans in their bedroom to like having someone so big wearing them, instead of like working your way up to that kind of. But no, I don't know how she found me whatsoever. Like I literally had no idea. Probably had about 2,000 followers on Instagram at the time. It was very small and it was very new. The brand was probably only launched for about 2 months. By the time she messaged me. But yeah,
that is mental. So I assume that's like the biggest thing that's kind of happened to you since starting the brand.
It's probably one of the biggest things that's happened in regards to like famous people. Like he's probably the most famous person, but there's been other big things to me like personally which have happened.
Yeah, do tell us.
So basically one of like the biggest things, probably the biggest thing for me was being able to like move into my own studio in London and like being able to employ people to work for me. Was something I'd like I graduate literally 6 weeks from now. And I couldn't even dream in the next 3 years after graduating that I'd be able to afford to have my own studio and employ people to work for me. But for me, being able to do that means probably more than the Quavo thing. Like, I don't know, it's something personal to me.
And so what is like next for the brand? What big things do you have planned?
So basically I'm not sure how much detail I can go into stuff because there's some like collabs planned with certain like very big brands but I don't know how I've managed to like swing.
It's exciting.
but basically at the moment it's just like for the summer it's just trying to carry on. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, the brand was never meant to ever be a thing in the first place. It was only meant to be like a Depop selling thing just for the summer so I could save enough money to pay my rent for the summer, and then it's kind of grown into this thing. But hopefully I don't even know what really is the plan for the brand. I mean, it's just gonna keep doing what we're doing. We've got new designs coming out and stuff, and slowly growing the team. And once some of my friends from university graduate, they're gonna come and work for me and stuff, which will be exciting.
So is that sort of what you want to carry on with once you graduate? Just doing that?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Are you going to do anything else or just that?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't got any time really. I'm so like busy that I haven't got that much free time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've kind of like missed out on the opportunity to go and work in industry and stuff.
Yeah.
Because of obviously, last year I was meant to be doing a placement, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then that all got cancelled. So I haven't actually ever worked for like an actual fashion house or anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've kind of been cheated on it, but also from what I've heard, it doesn't sound that nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would have been a great experience for me personally, and probably would help a lot with what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late if you get time.
Yeah, it's never too late. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so sort of last thing then for our listeners out there, if you could give any piece of advice to someone wanting to study textiles and print, what would it be?
Any advice? Basically, don't be afraid to do your own style of designs. I found like when I moved to LCF, I found that the university was very traditional with their design style, and they never really liked what I would do because I was very like taking my photographs and doing my own kind of designs, and they were very much wanted you to do your hand rendered stuff. But at the end of the day, you want to do what you enjoy and just do that. That's the thing, like don't design for them, design for yourself. And it doesn't matter if they don't like it, because at the end of the day, what's you enjoy designing is what's important, and that's what makes you stand out from everyone else.
For sure. Well, look at where you are now. I mean, if you'd have held back, maybe you wouldn't be where you are today.
Well,
thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experiences. And I wish you all the best with your brand and graduation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all.
Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. Next week, we're joined by Lara Bazoui, a first-year fashion journalism student at London College of Fashion, who has created her own brand. She's written for Harper's Bazaar, and she's created a whole university society, all within her first year as a fashion student. So do make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss the episode. And please also check out our socials and website for more information and advice from fashion students and graduates across the country. See you soon.